The music pulsed through the Hendersons' sprawling backyard as I nursed my third whiskey of the evening. String lights twinkled overhead like captured stars, and the late summer air carried the scent of jasmine and expensive perfume. I should have been enjoying myself. After all, Marcus Henderson threw the best parties in our social circle, and being invited meant you'd made it. But I wasn't enjoying myself. I was watching my wife, Diana, laugh a little too loudly at something Brad Winters had said. This wasn't new. Diana had been playing this game for months now, flirting with other men at parties, accepting compliments with that coy smile she used to reserve for me, dancing just a beat too close to whoever asked. At first, I'd reacted exactly as she wanted. I'd pull her aside, voice tight with controlled anger, demanding to know what she was doing. She'd feign innocence, accuse me of being controlling, and the fight would spiral into a familiar pattern that always ended with me apologizing. "Your wife seems to be having a good time," Sarah Mitchell said, appearing beside me with 2 fresh drinks. She handed me one, her green eyes sympathetic. Sarah was Marcus's business partner, recently divorced, and one of the few people at these parties who seemed genuinely decent. "She always does at these things," I replied, trying to keep the bitterness from my voice. Diana twirled on the makeshift dance floor, her red dress catching the light. Brad's hand rested on the small of her back, too low, too familiar. She caught my eye across the crowd and smiled, checking to see if I was watching. When she saw that I was, her smile widened and she leaned closer to Brad, whispering something in his ear that made him laugh. Sarah followed my gaze. "How long has this been going on?" 6 months. Maybe longer. I took a long drink. At first I thought I was imagining it. Then I thought maybe she was just being friendly. Then I stopped lying to myself. "Have you talked to her about it?" I laughed without humor. "Every time I do, I'm the bad guy. I'm too jealous, too possessive, too insecure. According to Diana, I need to work on my trust issues." Sarah was quiet for a moment, watching the crowd. "You know what I learned from my divorce? Some people create problems because they're bored. They need the drama, the chase, the reassurance that someone still wants them enough to fight for them." Her words hit close to home. Diana had always thrived on attention, but lately it seemed like my attention wasn't enough. She needed constant validation, and when I gave it freely, she grew bored. When I pulled back, she'd escalate her behavior until I reacted. "I'm tired, Sarah," I admitted quietly. "I'm tired of playing this game. I'm tired of being the jealous husband she can manipulate. I'm tired of chasing someone who keeps running away. So stop chasing." I looked at her, really looked at her for the first time. Sarah was attractive in an understated way. Intelligent eyes, genuine smile, the kind of woman who didn't need to be the center of attention because she was comfortable with herself. "What do you mean? Stop playing the game by her rules. You react, she wins. You get angry, she gets what she wants. But if you stop caring," she trailed off, letting me finish the thought. Across the yard, Diana was now dancing with someone new, Tom Martinez, a divorced lawyer who drove a Porsche and had wandering hands. She glanced my way again, expecting the familiar tightening of my jaw, the barely controlled fury in my eyes. Instead, I turned my back to her and smiled at Sarah. "Want to get out of here?" I asked. "There's a jazz club downtown that stays open late. Real music, actual conversation. Novel concept, I know." Sarah raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised. "Are you sure?" I wasn't, but I was done being sure about everything while Diana played fast and loose with our marriage. "Absolutely," I said, setting down my drink. "I've spent enough nights watching my wife pretend I don't exist. Time to return the favor." As we walked toward the exit, I felt it, Diana's eyes burning into my back. For the first time in months, she wasn't the one calling the shots. And for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. The jazz club was everything the party wasn't. Intimate, authentic, unpretentious. A saxophone wailed soulfully from the small stage while couples swayed in the dim lighting. Sarah and I found a corner booth, and for the first time in what felt like years, I had a conversation that didn't feel like a chess match. "So tell me," Sarah said, settling into the worn leather seat, "when did you realize your marriage was in trouble?" I appreciated that she didn't dance around it. "Honestly, I think it's been struggling for a while, but I was too busy trying to fix it to notice how broken it really was." My phone buzzed. Then again, and again. I pulled it out to find a string of texts from Diana. "Where did you go? Are you seriously leaving without telling me? This is incredibly immature, Daniel. We need to talk. Come back." I showed the messages to Sarah, who smirked. That didn't take long. She's used to me being there, watching, caring. I turned the phone face down on the table. The irony is, I've told her 100 times how much her behavior hurts me. But the second I stop reacting, suddenly she needs to talk. It's not about the talking, Sarah observed. It's about control. She's losing it. The phone continued buzzing intermittently throughout our conversation. Sarah told me about her own marriage, how her ex-husband had taken her for granted until she finally left, how she'd spent a year rebuilding herself, learning to value her own company, refusing to settle for less than she deserved. The thing that surprised me most, she said, was how much happier I became once I stopped trying to make someone love me the way I needed to be loved. Her words resonated deep in my chest. How long had I been trying to earn Diana's affection, trying to be interesting enough, successful enough, attentive enough, and somehow, no matter what I did, it was never quite right. Around midnight, my phone rang. Diana. I declined the call. It rang again, immediately. Then a text, "If you don't answer, I'm calling the police. I'm worried about you." "She's really pulling out all the stops," Sarah noted. I texted back, "I'm fine." "Went out with a friend." "Don't wait up." The response was instant. "What friend?" "Who are you with?" I silenced my phone and slipped it into my pocket. "She's been with different men all night, but the second I leave with a woman, it's an emergency." "Classic," Sarah said. "The rules only apply to you, not to her." We talked until the club closed at 2 a.m. Sarah shared her business philosophy, her dreams of starting her own firm, her complicated relationship with her teenage daughter. I told her about my work as an architect, the project I was passionate about that Diana never asked about, the feeling of being invisible in my own marriage. "You're not invisible," Sarah said as we stood outside the club. "Diana sees you. She just doesn't appreciate you. There's a difference." I drove Sarah to her car, which was still parked at the Hendersons' place. The party had long since ended, and the street was quiet. As she got out, she turned back to me. "Daniel, can I give you some unsolicited advice? Please. Whatever happens next with Diana, don't let her manipulate you into being the villain. You walked away from a party. You had coffee and conversation with a friend. You didn't do anything wrong. Don't let her rewrite the narrative to make herself the victim." I nodded, knowing she was right, but also knowing how persuasive Diana could be when she wanted to twist a story. When I got home at 2:47 a.m., every light in the house was on. Diana was waiting in the living room, still in her red dress, makeup smudged from crying or calculated for effect. With Diana, it was hard to tell anymore. "Where the hell have you been?" She stood up, arms crossed. "Do you have any idea how embarrassing it was when people asked where my husband went? What was I supposed to tell them?" "The truth?" I suggested. "That I went out with a friend." "What friend?" "That woman you left with." "Who is she?" "Sarah Mitchell. Marcus's business partner. We went to a jazz club and talked." Diana's eyes narrowed. "You went out with another woman until 3 a.m, and I'm supposed to believe you just talked?" The hypocrisy was stunning. I laughed. Actually laughed, which clearly wasn't the reaction she expected. "Diana, you spent the entire evening draped over every man at that party. You danced with Brad so close I couldn't see daylight between you. Tom Martinez's hand was on your thigh during dinner. But I have a conversation with a colleague and suddenly I'm the cheater. That's different." "I was just having fun." "You left with her." "You abandoned me." "I've been feeling abandoned for months," I said quietly. "Every time you flirt with someone else to get a reaction from me. Every time you make me feel like I'm not enough. Like I'm just some prop in your life that you can use when you need to feel desired." She blinked, seemingly surprised by my calm tone. Usually by now I'd be raising my voice and she'd be crying and I'd be apologizing. "Not tonight. I'm going to bed," I said, moving toward the stairs. "We can talk about this tomorrow when we've both had some sleep." "We're talking about it now." Her voice rose to that pitch that usually made me stop, turn around, try to placate her. Instead, I kept walking. "Daniel, don't you dare walk away from me." I paused at the bottom of the stairs and looked back at her. "You've been walking away from this marriage for months." "Diana, I'm just finally starting to follow your lead." The look on her face, shock, anger, and something else I couldn't quite identify, told me everything I needed to know. The game had changed, and for the first time I wasn't playing by her rules. I woke up to find Diana gone. No note, no text. Just her side of the bed untouched and her car missing from the garage. Part of me, the old part that would have panicked and called her repeatedly, stirred with worry. But the new part, the part that had emerged last night, simply made coffee and checked my phone. One message from Sarah. Hope you survived the night. Coffee this week if you need to talk. Nothing from Diana until 11 a.m. At my mother's. Need space to think about what you've done, what I'd done. The manipulation was so automatic, so ingrained, that she probably didn't even realize she was doing it. I was the bad guy for leaving a party. She was the victim. Despite months of emotional chess games, spent Sunday working on the architectural designs for the community center project, the one Diana called my little hobby, despite it being the most meaningful work of my career. For the first time in months, I felt focused, energized. Without Diana's constant need for attention and validation, the house felt peaceful rather than empty. Monday morning, I arrived at the office to find my partner, James, waiting with coffee and a knowing look. So, he said, I heard you caused quite a stir at the Henderson party. Word travels fast. Marcus called me. Said Diana spent an hour after you left telling anyone who'd listen that you abandoned her for another woman. But Sarah Mitchell told him a very different story. James studied me. You want to talk about it? Over the next hour, I told him everything. The months of Diana's games, the constant testing, my decision to finally stop playing along. James listened without judgment, occasionally nodding. You know what the sad part is? I finished. I don't think she actually wants the other men. She just wants to know she can have them. That I'll fight for her, but I'm too tired to fight anymore. Maybe that's not sad, James offered. Maybe that's growth. Diana returned home Tuesday evening. I was in my study when I heard her car, and I deliberately stayed there, continuing to work. After a few minutes, she appeared in the doorway. She looked different, smaller somehow, less sure of herself. Her armor was cracking. We need to talk, she said. Okay. I didn't turn from my computer. Daniel, please. I'm trying here. I saved my work and turned to face her. What do you want to talk about? She sat down across from me and I could see she'd been crying. Really crying this time, not for effect. My mother thinks I'm being ridiculous. My sister said I'm sabotaging my marriage. And Sarah Mitchell called me. That surprised me. Sarah called you? She wanted to tell me herself that nothing happened between you two. That you spent the whole night talking about me. Diana's voice broke. About how much you love me, how confused you are, how hard you've been trying. I waited, saying nothing. Why didn't you just yell at me? Diana asked suddenly. Why didn't you make a scene at the party? Why did you leave? Because I'm exhausted, Diana. I'm exhausted from being your emotional punching bag. I'm tired of playing the jealous husband in whatever drama you need to feel alive. I'm done performing. Performing? She looked genuinely confused. Is that what you think I'm doing? Isn't it? You flirt with other men, I get jealous, you get the validation you're looking for. We fight, I apologize, and the cycle continues. Until I broke it. Diana was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was small. I didn't realize. I thought you liked the chase. Like when we first started dating, remember? The competition, the excitement. We were 22, Diana. We're 35 now. I don't want to compete for my own wife's attention. I don't want our marriage to be a game. But without the excitement, what's left? She looked genuinely scared. What if we're just boring? And there it was, the truth beneath all the manipulation. Diana was terrified of ordinary happiness. She needed constant drama because she'd never learned to find value in quiet contentment. Diana, do you even love me? I asked. Or do you just love knowing that I love you? She recoiled as if I'd slapped her. How can you ask me that? Because you've never acted like someone who loves their partner. You act like someone who needs constant proof that they're desirable. There's a difference. Tears streamed down her face now. I do love you. I don't know how to stop. The flirting, the games, it's who I've always been. Then maybe you need to figure out who you want to be, I said gently, because I can't keep living like this. I won't. Are you leaving me? The panic in her voice was real. I don't know, I admitted. I know I can't continue in this marriage the way it's been. Something has to change. I'll change. I promise. No more games, no more flirting. Diana, you can't just flip a switch. This is deeper than behavior. You need to figure out why you do this, why you need constant validation, why my love isn't enough. She stood up abruptly. So what, I need therapy now? You're making me out to be some kind of broken person. I think we both need therapy, I said. Individual and couples. But only if you're willing to actually examine why our marriage got here. And if I'm not, I met her eyes, then I guess we'll both know where we stand. Diana left the study without another word. I heard her in the bedroom, drawers opening and closing. Part of me wondered if she was packing, if this was it. But mostly I felt a strange calm. For the first time in our marriage, I'd been completely honest. I'd stopped managing her emotions and just told the truth. Whatever happened next, at least I wasn't living a lie anymore. That night, we slept in the same bed but might as well have been on different continents. Diana faced the wall, her body rigid with tension. I stared at the ceiling, wondering if tomorrow would bring reconciliation or divorce papers. Around 2 a.m., I heard her crying, quiet, hopeless sobs that she tried to muffle with her pillow. "Diana," I said softly. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I'm so scared, Daniel. What if I can't change? What if this is just who I am?" I didn't reach for her, didn't offer easy comfort. "Then you need to decide if who you are is more important than what we could be together." She cried harder and I let her. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is not rescue them from the consequences of their choices. The next few weeks existed in a strange limbo. Diana made an appointment with a therapist, Dr. Elizabeth Chen, who specialized in relationship patterns and attachment issues. I found my own therapist, Dr. Robert Martinez, who helped me understand my own role in our dysfunctional dance. "You're a fixer," Dr. Martinez told me during our second session. "You see someone struggling, and you immediately try to solve their problems. But Diana doesn't want solutions. She wants witnesses to her pain." "That sounds exhausting for both of us," I said. "It is. And the irony? By constantly trying to fix her, you've enabled her to never fix herself." The truth stung, but I needed to hear it. Diana and I started couples therapy, 3 weeks after the party. Dr. Chen had kind eyes but a steel backbone. She didn't let either of us hide behind comfortable lies. In our 4th session, she asked Diana a question that changed everything. "Diana, when did you first learn that love had to be earned?" Diana froze. "What do you mean? You seem to believe that if Daniel doesn't fight for you, doesn't get jealous, doesn't chase you, then he doesn't love you. Where did you learn that equation?" I watched my wife's face crumble. "My father," she whispered. "My father only paid attention to me when I did something impressive or when other men showed interest. He'd say things like, 'Better keep an eye on this one, she's going to break hearts.' But when I just wanted to sit with him, to talk, to be his daughter, he was too busy." "So you learned that male attention is currency," Dr. Chen said gently, "and that you have to earn it, constantly prove you're worthy of it." "But Daniel always paid attention to me," Diana protested. "He was always there." "Exactly," Dr. Chen said. "Which meant, in your paradigm, his attention had no value. If you didn't have to earn it, if he just gave it freely, then it couldn't be real love." I felt pieces clicking into place. All the times Diana had pushed me away when I tried to be supportive. All the times she'd seemed bored when things were good between us. She'd been conditioned to believe that love was supposed to be hard, to be earned, to be proven through jealousy and competition. "I'm sorry," Diana said, turning to me with genuine anguish in her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Daniel. I didn't know I was doing that." "I know," I said. "But understanding why you did it doesn't erase the damage." That night, Diana showed me something she'd never shared before, her journal from high school. Page after page of a girl desperately trying to be enough for a father, who only saw her value when other men did. Notes about flirting with boys to make her father proud. About feeling invisible when she wasn't being impressive. "I never wanted to be like this," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I hate that I hurt you. I hate that I became what my father made me." "You're not what your father made you," I said carefully. "You're what you chose to become in response to his failings. And now you get to choose differently. What if I can't? What if I'm too broken?" "You're not broken, Diana, you're wounded. There's a difference. Broken things can't heal. Wounded things can, if you let them." Over the following weeks, I watched my wife truly confront herself for perhaps the first time. She cried a lot. She got angry, at her father, at herself, at the years she'd wasted playing games. She had setbacks, moments where she'd slip into old patterns, seeking validation from strangers before catching herself. But she was trying, really trying. Meanwhile, Sarah and I continued our friendship. We met for coffee occasionally, talked about work and life. Diana struggled with this at first, her old instinct screaming that I was doing exactly what she'd done to me. But Dr. Chen helped her see the difference between emotional revenge and healthy friendship. Daniel having a friend isn't punishment for your behavior, Dr. Chen explained. It's him building a life that doesn't revolve entirely around managing your emotions. One evening, about 2 months after the party, I came home to find Diana had cooked dinner, actually cooked, not ordered in. The table was set simply, no dramatic gestures or over-the-top romance. Just my wife making an effort. I've been thinking, she said as we ate, about what Dr. Chen said last week, about how I've never really known myself outside of being desired by others. What did you come up with? I realized I don't have any hobbies that aren't about appearance or social status. I don't read for pleasure anymore. I don't create anything. I just curate myself for an audience. That sounds lonely, I said. It is. She looked at me with raw honesty. I've been so lonely, Daniel, even when I was surrounded by people. Especially then, because none of them actually knew me. How could they when I didn't know myself? So who do you want to be? Diana was quiet for a long moment. I want to be someone who can be alone without feeling worthless. Someone who can be loved quietly without needing it to be dramatic. Someone who... Her voice broke. Someone who deserves you. You already deserve love, Diana. You just need to believe it. That night we made love for the first time since the party. It was different, slower, more tender, less about performance and more about connection. Afterward, Diana cried in my arms. I'm terrified I'm going to lose you, she admitted. That I've damaged us too much. I'm still here, I said. I'm still choosing to be here. But Diana, I need you to understand something. I can't be the only one doing the work. I can't be the only one fighting for us. I know. I'm trying. I really am, I see that. But trying isn't the same as succeeding. And if you slip back into old patterns, if you start playing games again... I trailed off, unable to finish the threat. You'll leave, she finished for me. I'll have to, for both our sakes. She nodded against my chest. I understand. And Daniel, thank you. For what? For loving me enough to stop chasing me. For respecting yourself enough to walk away that night. You saved our marriage by being willing to end it. I kissed the top of her head, hoping she was right, terrified she might be wrong. 6 months after the Henderson party, Marcus threw another gathering, a New Year's Eve celebration. Diana and I stood at our bedroom mirror, getting ready, and I could see her tension. We don't have to go, I said. If it's too much... No, she interrupted. I want to go. I need to go. I need to prove to myself that I can handle it differently. The party was as lavish as always. Same people, same string lights, same expensive champagne, but everything felt different. Or maybe I was different. Maybe we both were. Brad Winters approached Diana within the first hour. I watched from across the patio, my stomach tightening reflexively, old patterns trying to assert themselves. Diana, you look stunning as always, Brad said, his smile too wide, too familiar. Save me a dance later? I saw Diana's hesitation, the old instincts warring with new awareness. Then she smiled, genuinely kindly but with clear boundaries. That's sweet, Brad, but I'm going to spend tonight dancing with my husband. We have a lot of time to make up for. Brad looked surprised but recovered quickly. Lucky guy, he said, moving on to find another target. Diana made her way through the crowd to me, slipping her hand into mine. How'd I do? Perfect, I said, kissing her temple. Though I notice you made it sound like it was for my benefit, not yours. She laughed. Baby steps. I'm still learning that I don't owe men my attention just because they want it. Sarah found us a while later, her ever-present warmth making me smile. The happy couple, she said. It's good to see you both doing better. Thank you, Diana said, and I could tell she meant it. And thank you for being a good friend to Daniel when I was being a terrible wife. You weren't terrible, Sarah corrected gently. You were lost. There's a difference. As midnight approached, Marcus called everyone to the main patio for the countdown. Diana and I found a spot near the back, away from the crowd. The string lights cast everything in a golden glow, and for a moment, I was transported back to that night 6 months ago, standing in almost the same spot, watching my marriage disintegrate, What are you thinking about? Diana asked. Last time we were here, I admitted. How different everything was. Do you regret it? Walking away with Sarah? I considered the question carefully. No. I regret that it took getting to that point for us to face our problems. But I don't regret finally standing up for myself. I'm glad you did, Diana said softly. I'm glad you stopped letting me hurt you. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. I have something to tell you, Diana said quickly, nervous. I've been waiting for the right moment. 7, 6, 5. I went off my anti-anxiety medication. She continued in a rush. 3 months ago. Dr. Chen thought it might be masking issues I needed to address directly. And I've been doing a creative writing course, just for me, not to post on social media or show off. Just to find out if I actually enjoy creating something. 4, 3, 2, and? I asked, my heart swelling. 1, I do, she said as fireworks exploded overhead. I actually do. I kissed my wife as the new year arrived, and it felt like kissing her for the first time, full of possibility, untainted by games or manipulation or fear. When we pulled apart, she was crying. I'm still scared, she admitted. Scared I'll mess this up again. Scared I'll slip back. You might, I said honestly. We both might. Recovery isn't linear. But Diana, for the first time since we got married, I feel like I'm seeing the real you. Not the performance, not the persona. Just you. Do you like what you see? I'm still here, aren't I? We stayed at the party until 2 a.m., but this time we left together. In the car, Diana took my hand. I've been thinking about what I want this year to look like, she said. Real things, not Instagram goals or social status markers. Tell me. I want to finish my creative writing course and maybe start a blog. Not for followers, just for me. I want to repair my relationship with my mother, because I've blamed her for my father's emotional distance when she was a victim of it too. I want to volunteer somewhere, do something that's not about me at all. She paused. And I want to keep choosing our marriage every single day, even when it's not exciting or dramatic. Those are good goals, I said. Mine are simpler. I want to finish the community center project. I want to maintain my friendships, including with Sarah, because having a life outside our marriage makes me a better husband. And I want to keep going to therapy, even when things are good, so we don't slip back into old patterns. Deal, Diana said, squeezing my hand. At home, we stood on our back deck, watching the last of the neighborhood fireworks. Diana leaned against me and I wrapped my arms around her waist. You know what I realized? She said. That night when you left with Sarah, when you chose yourself over managing my emotions, that was the sexiest thing you've ever done. I laughed, surprised. Seriously? Seriously. I'd spent so long trying to make you jealous, trying to get you to fight for me because I thought that's what passion looked like. But real passion? It's you, standing up and saying, I deserve better than this. It's you, respecting yourself enough to walk away. That's the man I fell in love with, the one I'd buried under years of manipulation and games. I didn't feel sexy, I admitted. I felt heartbroken, I know. And I did that to you. I broke your heart over and over because I was too broken myself to recognize what I had. She turned in my arms to face me. But I see you now, Daniel. Really see you. And I'm going to spend the rest of our marriage making sure you never feel invisible again. I don't need grand gestures, I said. I just need you. The real you. Then that's what you'll get. 6 months later, on a quiet Tuesday evening, I came home to find Diana in the living room, laptop open, so absorbed in her writing that she didn't hear me come in. I stood in the doorway watching her, my wife, finally comfortable in her own skin, creating something just for the joy of creation. She looked up and saw me, her face breaking into a smile that held no performance, no calculation, just genuine happiness. Hey, she said. How was your day? Better now, I replied, kissing her hello. What are you working on? A short story about a woman who almost loses everything because she doesn't know how to let herself be loved. Sounds familiar, I teased gently. It has a happy ending, she assured me. The woman learns. She grows. She chooses healing over drama. And the man who loved her, he stays. Not because he's weak, but because he's strong enough to give her the chance to become who she was always meant to be. I like that ending, I said, pulling her close. Me too, Diana whispered against my chest. Me too. That night we danced in our kitchen to no music. just the quiet rhythm of two people who'd finally learned that real love doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need drama or games or jealousy to prove it's real. Sometimes love is just two wounded people choosing each other, choosing growth, choosing honesty over performance. And sometimes the greatest love story is the one where both people finally stop playing roles and just let themselves be seen. Marcus Henderson threw another party the following summer. We went, but we left early, together hand in hand, choosing the quiet intimacy of our own company over the performance of social spectacle. As we drove home, Diana said something that made me pull over and kiss her right there on the side of the road. Thank you for loving me enough to let me go that night, and thank you for loving me enough to let me come back. Always, I said. But Diana, next time you feel invisible or scared or like you need validation, I'll talk to you instead of trying to make you jealous. Exactly, she smiled. Deal. Though I have to warn you, boring, stable happiness might be my new addiction. I can live with that, I said, pulling back onto the road, and we drove home, to our imperfect but honest life, ready for whatever came next. Together.